There it is. Cool. All right, I'm going to kick off. Is that okay with you, Scott?
Sure.
All righty. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to ITSM to ESM Scaling the Org with AI, presented by ServiceRocket. Special good morning to those on the West Coast. It's 7 a.m. bright and early. The sun isn't even up yet. But one good thing about an early morning webinar is we're way too tired to be nervous about a webinar. So I am actually on the West Coast. I'm in Olympia, Washington, so I can sympathize with you who are up early, bright and early just for this. And I've been at ServiceRocket for about 3 years, but I've been working with the Atlassian tools for about 9 years. And I am passionate about positively impacting others through technology. And today I'm joined by my colleague Scott, who's going to go ahead and introduce himself.
Morning, everybody. My name is Scott Spinelli. I'm located at the Palo Alto office. I've been at ServiceRocket for about 2 years now and recently transferred from being a technical consultant to be a consultant with the solution architecture team. So nice to meet you guys. Welcome.
Thanks, Scott. Today we got a pretty brief agenda, but mostly we're just going to cover introducing you to ServiceRocket. Who is ServiceRocket? What do we do? And then setting the stage with ITSM and ESM with some background knowledge and understanding those concepts. And then the meat of today will really be Scott delivering a demo surrounded around scaling service management with AI. That's going to be the most fun part. And then additionally, we want to give you more examples about AI within Atlassian products. And then at the very end, we do have dedicated time for Q&A. However, if you guys have questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Scott and myself want to be very responsive to any questions or comments you guys might have as we're delivering the information. So please don't hesitate. We'll try to keep an eye on the chat and ensure that those questions get answered. Alrighty, so who is ServiceRocket? ServiceRocket brings about over 2 decades of delivering tech-enabled services and expertise. That's why companies turn to us again and again to solve their most pressing needs. In addition to this, we have a very substantial global presence. So we're actually across 5 different continents, and our Rocketeers work collaboratively together as part of a distributed team model that's able to support our customers with stable confidence. And then on the next slide, we kind of want to go over some metrics that show exactly how we do that. We have 10 different office locations. We serve over 4,000 customers, and that helps us. Also, we have 24/7 customer support given and delivered by our team who's across those 5 continents. In addition to this, we have many certified Rocketeers, and I think we're at 15 ACE experts now. So we definitely have the support you need to accelerate your organization's growth. All right, so that's a little bit about ServiceRocket. Now we're going to transition into ITSM and ESM. So you guys might have already heard about these terms. ITSM is the management of IT services. So you guys might be familiar with incident management, asset management, things like that. For those who are familiar with like Jira Service Management, you might have created a Jira Service Management project and have seen the templates available for your Jira Service Management project. One of those templates is actually an ITSM template, and that template, it gives your teams a quick start solution that enables you to get started quickly. And that template is actually based on standard industry practices and processes. So ITSM as a whole has been developed over years and years of experience. And now collectively, these practices are intended to maximize the efficiency and the quality of the IT team. As we know, this is a very critical business unit for all organizations. A lot of us cannot function without our IT services. And so when we think about ESM, think about everything I just said, but expand it to other departments. So namely legal, HR, marketing, things like that. They also are fundamental parts of the business, and we want to ensure that they are running efficiently. So when we think about ESM, it really is the intention of weaving these services together into one cohesive service strategy. And that again is intended to maximize the value delivery to your employees, your customers, and ensuring that the overall business function is positively supported so that the practices and standards are upheld. And today we're going to discuss how how AI specifically elevates and contributes to this overall ESM experience. Alrighty. So I'm sure you're not here to talk ITSM all day. Neither am I. We're here for the good stuff, which is AI. AI is definitely disrupting every industry right now. And today we're going to talk about how it's doing that to services. Do any of the items on the screen look familiar to you? Those are pain points that we may be experiencing in our everyday job, like redundancy and information overload. And with the increased demand of knowledge, the speed of innovation, and the significant amount of information that we all have to sift through, AI presents a very real opportunity to help with these everyday activities. So on the next slide, let's look at some benefits. How can AI benefit us in our everyday jobs? And on the right-hand side, you can see contextually how AI can help with these specific roles. So for example, a knowledge worker is able to avoid mistakes. They have faster speed of execution, and they're able to provide answers quickly due to AI. So the individual performing the day-to-day tasks for a company will be able to accelerate the work and ultimately accelerate the things like product lifecycle, marketing, customer support functions. All in all, this makes your organization sharpen its competitive edge. And lastly, really important slide. We're almost at the demo, I promise. But first, let's go over Atlassian's approach to AI. AI for any organization, I'm sure, poses a lot of questions, especially around privacy and security, as we should. This is the latest technological wave that we all knew was coming, especially growing up on films and media such as Terminator, iRobot, Black Mirror. Those films have kind of taught us to be a little bit weary before enabling a technology like this. Jokes aside, trust is at the forefront of Atlassian Intelligence. It combines state-of-the-art models developed by OpenAI with the power and data inside the Atlassian platform. That means it's a native artificial intelligence experience that is contextual to you, your teams, and your workflows, all in a way that respects the privacy of your data. So that means that the data that you submit and then the responses that you receive via Atlassian Intelligence are absolutely not used to fine-tune or improve OpenAI's model or service. Each data request is sent to OpenAI individually over an SSL encrypted service to process and send back to Atlassian. And then again, OpenAI does not store the data or submit the responses you receive. If you guys would like to know more about the details regarding AI, it's actually very interesting also to look at the models and understand how the AI is working. There's more information on Atlassian's Trust Center. And Atlassian, of course, is always open to receiving feedback from customers, partners, and employees. And with that, I think I'm ready to pass it to the fun stuff for Scott.
All right. Thank you for handing it off, Isabel. Let's jump into it. So today we'll be demonstrating how chatbots can be integrated into your tool set to support users and reduce the work of your JSM agents. A key thing that we would like to highlight is that AI is not here to replace humans, but rather free up humans from manual and repetitive work and allow them to work on problems that need a human touch to them. Next slide. For our demo today, we will be showing you how Slack can integrate with AI inside of JSM. Just as a little side note, Slack right now is the only messenger application that works with Atlassian. They're currently working on developing other integrations between Microsoft Teams and other platforms. But for the time being, Slack is the lone one that is working. And again, for this use case, the organization is going to be Monsters Inc. And they have Jira, JSM, and Confluence. Their JSM is connected to a knowledge base that they have built out in Confluence. And let's jump into it. 1 second. All right. So again, a little bit of background. This is what it looks like. It's my first day at Monsters Inc. and I've recently connected with HR, and HR directed me to use Slack. There's many different systems to be onboarded to, but to keep things easy, they directed me to use this tool to ask any questions that I need, and it should be there to give what I'm looking for. So the first use case, in my onboarding email, I got an activation code. And with this activation code, I'll be able to request my badge. So again, instead of going to JSM or trying to find the correct portal or request type to use, I can simply type it in here to the Slack channel. This is the one that we've set up. And so let's go into it. So if I type in, I need to request a badge. We're going to wait a second. As you can see right here, it's going to pop up. Assist is Atlassian's chatbot. So this will be the actor that you'll see. As you can see here, hi, I'm your virtual agent. Let me help you with your request. Are you looking for help with a new badge request? Yes. As we go into it, I'm going to enter the key that I received my email. It's going to validate it with an API request. And we'll move on to the next couple of steps. My name is Scott. Where am I working? At Monsters Inc. I'm going to be in the boiler room. Access type, I'm going to be here for 3 months. My email. All right. The justification, I need to gain access to the building. Awesome. Alrighty, a new ticket has been created for your badge request. So again, just as a little recap, instead of me having to go find the correct portal to put my ticket into, I could just simply type it here into Slack. And as you can see here, ticket has been created, and somebody on the agent side is going to be able to see this request and start to fill out the or go through the appropriate process of provisioning a badge. Again, it just keeps it simple. Everything that you need is inside of Slack. So after I got my badge, the next thing I'm going to do is update my computer. I noticed that the one that they sent me a Mac. I was really excited, but as soon as I opened it up, it wasn't working quite right. And then I noticed that there was a mandatory software update that needed to be addressed from the company. So again, instead of looking for somewhere else, a different portal to enter or simply create a request, I'm going to go look for information on how to update the computer. So I can say, I need help updating Mac. Type that in and wait for a response. Again, Atlassian Assist comes and says, are you looking to update your Mac? Yes. I'm having some troubles. This is the operating system of my Mac. And then right here, it's going to pull some information and it'll be able to put some steps. So again, I was struggling with updating my Mac, didn't know quite how to do it. It gave me a couple of steps. And right here, I could say, did this resolve your issue? Yes. This is kind of our first time seeing the ability of this assistant or this virtual agent. Typically, this would be a new request. So this typically would have been something that an agent on the JSM side would have to address. But based on the workflow that we built out here, the virtual agent is able to address this. I'm able to receive service on the first contact, and the JSM agent is not going to have to spend 5 minutes out of their day reaching out to me, being, hey, what system are you running, and kind of troubleshooting the process, and then giving me the information as presented here. All right, so now I got my computer set up, I got my badge. For all this help, I would like to thank my manager. I've heard that they have a kudos problem or a kudos program, so I would like to see how to access that. I would like to give kudos to a teammate. Again, we're going to click into here. Are you looking to give kudos? Yes. Email my manager.
You have a really nice manager, Scott.
I know. That one went through, and the service justification for this kudos was they helped me on quickly and smoothly. As you can see, thanks for submitting the kudos. Your team has been notified of your submission. Just so we could look into it here, the virtual agent, it's very easy to configure and integrate with other products. Just for a quick demonstration of that, we built a quick kudos home. You could see all the different kudos that have been submitted by different teammates. And you could also see a breakdown of who people are thanking. So again, virtual agent, it's very easy to set up, and it's very easy to interact with. So these past three examples that I've shown you, this is the first type of functionality of the virtual agent. This is called intents. Intents are workflows that you build out. And so these are common use cases that you see. So a badge request and updating your computer, these may be things that you see often. So you could go ahead, go in there and build out a simple workflow that'll help guide your users through these use cases. And by building out these intents, you could hopefully resolve tickets before they're even having to be created. So again, these are built out workflows, and that's the first type. The second type is, it's called Atlassian Intelligence. This is more like ChatGPT, where you type in a question, it's going to query some data or query some knowledge that it has, and then be able to give it back to you. So example of this would be, it's my first day again. I'm down in the boiler room. It's very hot. My phone slips out of my hand. I drop it on the floor and it cracks. I don't even have my first paycheck and I'm already in the red. So again, I'm going to go in there, and maybe this is not a typical problem, but I'm going to type in, what is the price to replace the screen of my iPhone? We could type that in. Give it a second. I'm a little bit slow right now. There it is. Alrighty. And as you can see, an intent, you'll have it match. So it'll see the trigger like this. Are you looking for kudos? And we hit yes. So that is the typical workflow that you'll see with a intent. Whereas when you use Atlassian Intelligence, it's going to look at what you have in your knowledge base and your Confluence and be able to give you a response, as well as give you where it found it. So it pulled it from this document right here. IT set this up, and you could reference this to see the prices and the vendors where you could get your iPhone fixed. So those are the two types of AI that's built into the system. So let's jump a little more into what it looks like on the back end. All right. So here on the back end, we can query based on the time period that you would like to see. Maybe you want to see what's been happening in the past month. It will show you the number of conversations that you've had. So the number of times an intent has been matched inside of Slack. And the key metric that I like to look at is this resolved one. Resolved is really showing you the percent of tickets that are never created. So these are the ones that, with your intent, you're able to provide service to a user or a customer, and a ticket is not created. So a JSM agent isn't going to have to work on that, and the customer is also satisfied with the service that they receive. So this really shows you how efficient your setup is and how useful it is for your customers. So again, the higher the number, the more efficient it is, and the more time your team is going to save. So now let's go look at the flow of a ticket. So again, we're going to go look at the Mac OS update. And here's the flow. And the flow is just like, excuse me, jumping ahead a little bit. Talking faster. All right. So the flow, it's kind of like an automation rule that you might see in Jira or JSM. And it is something that you set up that you could ask it different questions. So like, as you saw, we were able to ask, what kind of operating system are you running? And we're able to provide instructions in here, then checking if this resolved the issue. At the bottom, you can see when there's a resolve, these are the instances where we're able to provide value and service through this workflow, and we're able to basically service a ticket without it ever being created. So this is a huge plus when people are going to resolve. But if we find that we weren't able to resolve the issue, or that there's additional, like in this instance, there's additional assistance that needs to be provided, we'll escalate a ticket. And when you have to escalate, it'll simply create a new ticket. A JSM agent will see it and you'll get service there. But the more efficient your workflow is, the more value it provides, the more you'll see tickets being resolved. On the flip side, let's go to badge request. Training these. Training these intents are pretty easy. Atlassian requires a minimum of 3 statements for you to provide before it starts functioning. Again, we have 6 here. They all kind of saying the same thing. They have similar words, similar structure, but they all say the same, I need a badge, in a different form. Again, I could demo a couple of different things. As you see here, we call it a badge request. There's no mention of an ID. I'll do a Command F for that. I'm not sure where that first one is, but as you can see here, there's no ID. But if we come over here and say, I need an ID. Right here, it'll say, are you looking for help with any of these? It's not sure, it's not possible, but it knows that an ID might be the same thing as a badge. So it's going to suggest it right here. Badge request, and then it'll put you right into that same workflow that we saw earlier. So it's pretty smart, but in the instances to show you how easy it is to train, let's say at Monsters Inc., they call a badge a banana. Say instead of I need an ID, I need a banana. I need a banana. As you can see here, it's going to say raise a request. This is just a general request. It's not quite sure what I'm saying here. Do you mind rephrasing? But just to show you how easy it is to train, we could just type it in here. I need a banana. We'll come back in here. We'll put in the same. We put in the same exact request. Ooh, it didn't update.
I don't think you saved it.
Oh, good call, Isabel.
You're welcome.
Oh. All right, saved. Let's do it one more time. I need a banana.
I better get another kudos.
Yeah, you do deserve one. All right, and here it is. Do you need help with a new badge request? So again, super simple. You could add in just one line and it'll immediately start to pick it up. But it's pretty easy to adjust and it's very, very quick to set up. So those are the pros to using Intents. It's very easy to train, very easy to set up the flow, and it will begin servicing right away inside of your Slack channel. All right, so I'm going to stop the demo and we're going to jump back to the slides. Again, just to wrap up, these are a couple of things that we would like to highlight about the AI and ITSM and ESM. First call resolution. This is the ability to provide service to a user the first time that they interact with the system. So this is when they're able to receive service, and this helps you because there will be no outstanding ticket that is needing to be addressed by an agent. Second one ties into the first, but there's AI agents available. So these virtual agents are great. They're easy to set up and they're able to provide value. Incident categorization. I'm going to touch on this a little bit later. And process automation. Again, setting up those intents, setting up a process for typical use cases that you and your team see. This is going to, again, save you time and save you resources.
Hey, Scott.
Yep.
We got a question for you.
What we do.
Is the badge request a request type in typical JSM request types?
Gotcha. Yes, I have a badge request type set up. A lot of the time you will see just a general request, and you can simply just have a bunch of different intents all lead into a general one, but you could also create different not badge requests. You could create different request types for different intents.
Nice. Thank you, Scott. So to clarify too, because I want to understand it as an issue type, it could also be created as a custom issue type. So if it's not available in the template for whatever reason, you can also create it as an issue type if you prefer, or if you want to modify it as a type of request within your portal. Ultimately, it's what kind of reports do you want to create and what kind of items do you want to track on your team side. But that's a little bit more background into request types relating to badge requests. And they said thank you. So that's another one for you, Scott. Thank you. And then back to your slide.
All right, for the next 4 hours, we're going to go over a couple of the new AI products in Atlassian This one, I really enjoy this one. Say you have somebody new jumping onto a ticket, another agent, and they want to quickly jump on and kind of get an understanding. They could quickly hit this summarization tab, and then it'll be able to give you a couple bullet points onto what the request is about and a couple of the steps that have been, or a couple of the interactions that have been between the customer and the agent so far. So again, if you're a new agent, you want to catch on to an issue quickly, you can quickly just hit that button and you'll get a little summarization of what has been going on. Next one, creating responses for customers. When you get, this is kind of like canned responses, but it's going to be a little more customized to your situation. Again, you could come in here, click on brainstorm, and it give you a couple of bullet points pertaining to the information that sees in the ticket. So this could be information in the fields or just in the main description of what is happening. In JSM, improving responses, this is similar. Say it's a Monday morning and you're helping somebody who spilled coffee on their laptop. Maybe you're a little tired and you enter a quick response in. And you want to extend it a little bit, so you can quickly hit this change tone to empathetic button. And as you can see here, it's going to lengthen it, it's going to change the tone, and it's going to boost your customer interaction. So their experience of basically their experience that they're having with your portal is going to be positive if you're going to give a little bit more of an empathetic response. So again, Atlassian is trying to help you improve your writing and change the tone and create a more positive experience.
One more question for you, Scott.
Question, let's see. Virtual agents like
Joe
JSM.
asked, are virtual agents like Jira Service Management agents, and how do you configure the virtual agent?
Gotcha. So JSM agent would be the human who has a JSM license, and a virtual agent is the AI chatbot that we would set up. So that's kind of the distinguisher between the two. Virtual agent is pretty easy to set up. You could set up one per project, and each one you'll create, it's pretty simple. I could pull it up a little bit after. I can show you.
Great question, by the way.
As you can see, it's pretty easy to set up. You could tie it to a general request type. So this is just the overarching setup. You'll tie it to one type of request type, and you'll have different channels set up. So you'll have like a test channel and you'll have an agent channel. But very easy setup. You connect it to Slack, and then you just, on your projects, you go in the project settings, and then you could turn on a virtual agent, and all you have to do is put in this one type, and then you're off and running. The only thing you really have to have is, as at an org level or at a system level, you have to make sure that you have AI switched on, and then you'll have this availability. But very easy setup. Going back here. Present. Awesome. So this is incident management. Sometimes you'll get something goes down and you'll get a flurry of tickets coming in. Many of them may be pertaining to the same issue, but you can't tell that unless you go one by one to each ticket. JSM and AI can help you categorize all of them and basically group them into put them into groups that will identify the key or the root problem. So instead of having 85 alerts, you maybe have two problems at the very core, and you could service these by quickly getting to the problems and resolving all the tickets at the same time. So it's not perfect, but it's able to read into what the tickets are saying, try to group them into problems, and then be able to save your team time from having to go one by one into each one. Next, we're going to touch on a couple of the different tools outside of JSM. So this is for Jira. This has been pretty popular for some of the users that we've interacted with that don't have as much experience with JQL or SQL, for example. So instead of having to go into the documentation, look up syntax for how to put JQL together, you could simply go in here, type in exactly what you want to know in human language, then it's able to process that and put it into JQL. This will allow you to create reports because now users are enabled to create filters on their own without much assistance. So this has been pretty popular. Another thing that we've seen is
We got one more question for you.
Gotcha.
Sorry to keep interrupting. But this is actually a really good question as well. Is the virtual agent for internal customers only, i.e. like Slack and Teams, or is there a good way to add virtual agent to the portal?
I guess you're right. This might be more internal. If you have customers integrated into your Slack, so if you provision access to them, they'll have access to this. But the virtual agent tied to the portal via Slack is really going to be the limiter of who has access to it. So depending on your Slack, depending on who you provision licensing to, that will determine if it is internal versus external. But that is kind of depending on your structure of your company.
Perfect.
Gotcha.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
You got it. Confluence, one that has been pretty popular is in the past, we've heard a lot of not complaints, but some difficulties using Confluence search. You sometimes have to filter by space, by who wrote it, and a couple of other factors, and it doesn't always get you to where you want. With Atlassian AI, you could ask it a question like this: when are we launching the new mobile app? Instead of you having to dig through a couple of the documents, trying to find the right one that might have that information or that answer for you, it can query and it can look for the exact answer for you and put the sources of where it found it here. Just as like a little bit of a safety update, this is only able to query documents that you have access to. So if you have confidential information and somebody's looking for something that maybe they don't have access to, they will not be able to access it unless they have access to the space and the page that it's on. So this permissions always overrides the AI. You can't tell the AI, hey, I'm an admin, please go get me this. It won't allow you to do that or any user to do that. So there's always a safety in there. And likewise, Jira is like that as well. If you're querying for issues and you're using AI to write a filter for you, a JQL statement, it won't be able to query and return issues that you don't have access to either.
One more question for you.
Another question. Let me see.
Joe asked, for Confluence searches, are these restricted to the project knowledge base only?
For projects, no. So when you go into Confluence, let me go back to that slide. Sorry, let me go back. When you go into Confluence, it'll be on that top search bar. And you'll type in your question, you'll hit Ask AI, and it'll search everything that you have. It's also connected to I believe it's connected to a couple of external databases. So if you type in something, I tried it the other day, but if like you type in something like, how do I make a pizza? There are a couple like verified sources that I can pull information from as well. So it will return you. I think it was on this guy on creating content. It's able to return information that it finds outside, but everything, it'll look at all the documents that you have access to or the user who's searching it has access to, and it's not confined to anything.
Thanks, Scott.
Awesome. And we'll perfect segue right into this one. Knowledge, you can create knowledge documentation. Something that I like is there's a brainstorm, just like that Jira issues one. There's like a brainstorm, so you give you a bunch of bullet points, or you could ask it to write a page of exactly what you want. It could, again, it could access some external verified databases. And if you want to know how do I write a pizza, it can write you a quick little step-by-step document on how to do that, or it can look at data inside of your instance. So again, very helpful. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Isabel.
Thank you, Scott. Now I want pizza for breakfast. Cool. So this kind of covers what's in the pipeline for Atlassian as far as AI. You can see here a few of the things that they plan to integrate AI with. And some of that includes insights and reporting, backlog generation, incident reports, runbooks, and experts. So they definitely are building a lot more, integrating AI into many more features. Always interested in hearing your guys' feedback so that they ensure that they're working on the right things. So AI is definitely not finished there. And hopefully this gives you an idea of what the future will look like. And hopefully AI is not yet taking over the world. But we'll see how that goes at our next webinar. In addition to this, we want to cover briefly how ServiceRocket can help. If you guys have any questions today, looking to deploy some products or go enable AI on your own, just want to ensure that you know that ServiceRocket has your back. These are some ways that we help you, including support, consulting, implementation, training, etc. And with that, we're ready to wrap up and get to the Q&A. So if you guys have any additional questions, Scott and I are available to hang back and get those answered. I know Scott answered all of them today, so you're making my workload very easy for me. But that's all we've got. Thank you guys for joining. Good luck on your AI journey. Is there any plan to be able to transfer a chat to a human agent?
I can take that. I think that's transfer a chat to a human agent. I don't think a chat inside of Slack will be transferred. I think when you have an interaction on Slack with the virtual agent and it raises a request, from that point, it will be able to take what it's learned. So if you filled out, if it's asked questions like, what kind of Mac do you have? And anything like that, it'll be able to take the answer or the fields that you've answered, put it into a ticket, and then from there, get service from an agent, like a human agent. But I do not think at this moment that you could transfer or like add a human to the Slack thread that you have with the AI agent.
Hope that answered your question.
Gotcha. The ad, I don't think there's a plan for it.
Yeah, I mean, as far as what we understand what Atlassian's working on, it's not included right now, but I'm sure it's in their long backlog of items. Scott, I have a pop quiz for you.
Hit me.
What tiers is AI available on? Just
I'm
because I
gonna
have
guess premium and above.
Yes.
Good job. Premium and enterprise.
So if you guys are on standard, that means AI would not be available to you.
Does premium have unlimited automation, or is that only enterprise?
Last I checked, it did, but I've heard that changes might be coming. Let me see.
Gotcha.
Well,
That was my reason for AI being premium.
Automations, Jira Premium.
That's gonna make me look. Jira Premium versus
Oh, Jack answered. Premium has 1,000 automations per paid user. I checked yesterday. Thanks, Jack.
Oh, nice. So it did change. It used to be completely unlimited, I think. I mean, that's still pretty good though. 1,000 per user per month. Unless you're like a highly automated company and then you're gonna hit your limit pretty fast. Alrighty, everyone. Thank you for joining. Everyone enjoy your Wednesday and have a lovely week. Again, if you guys have any questions, follow-ups need support, just reach out. ServiceRocket has got your back. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.